welcome back to part 3 of chapter 9. Yep, there's still some more stuff we've got to talk about. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into it. And yes, Monty is still hiding in my shirt. He's just shy today. Anyway, so next up, your muscles basically turn your bones into a bunch of levers. So, yeah, you're really just a bunch of levers. So, there's a secret to life. You're a bunch of levers. Actually, no. The secret to life is the fact that we just take oxygen and glucose and smash it together into ATP. So that way we can do all the things like living. But anyway. So, if somebody ever asks you what the secret to life is, you can sit there and go, well, anyway. So, there's 3 different types of levers. There's basically the first order, which are, also like pliers and whatnot. So, we've got 3 parts to a lever. You've got your effort, you've got your fulcrum, which is kind of like the tipping point, the point that moves, and you got your load, which is basically what you're trying to pull up, pull off, or whatever with the effort. So the effort you're putting in, and the load is what you're kind of working against, okay? And the fulcrum is that tipping point, that is the mobile point that, allows you to do this. So first order is basically the fulcrum's in the middle, the effort, is going one way, and the load is, again, going one way. It's not entirely in the middle, but anyway. So for like a claw hammer, for instance, so you pull back here, and the energy transmits into here, and you pull the nail out. Second order is kind of one we're kind of acquainted with things like, for instance, wheelbarrows. So again, the load is here in the middle. The fulcrum is the wheel. So the fulcrum's like on the tip, and the lever is like the whole thing right here, and the effort is in the handles, and you pull up, and you walk away with the stuff in your wheelbarrow. Again, claw hammer is pliers is an example of a first order. Fulcrum's in the middle, and you push together here, and this pulls these 2 apart. Again, nutcrackers would be a second order. Fulcrum's on the outside. The load is right here where we're trying to crack, and effort we're putting together is pushing into the nutcracker and hopefully cracks your nut. Then the third order, this is what we're interested. We are third order levers. Basically, all of our body is a third order lever almost. And that's like the human arm. So for instance, again, the fulcrum's kind of on the end, but the load and the effort kind of switch places. So the effort's right here in the form of the muscle, and the load is usually on the end, like with, our hand or something or whatever. Also, a good example of this is tongs. So if you're one of those people with tongs outside, cooking with the grill, and you have to do the clacky clacky with the tongs, because that's just required. Somebody has to go clack clack with the tongs, or else you can't grill. I don't make the rules. That's just the way they are. But anyway, like tongs, we are also a third order. So we have to go clacky clacky with our hands to make things work. Ha 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 ha. No. Anyway, so again, the effort is our muscles. The fulcrum is like our elbow, and the load, which is the weight, plus your forearm. Okay? So we are really just a bunch of third order levers. Now, how a muscle attaches to the bone has names. So what's going on is the origin is where it's attached, but it's the stationary end of the muscle. So yeah, not all muscles are movable on both ends. Actually, everybody usually has an origin. What are you doing? Anyway. And the belly of the muscle is basically where the muscle is, and then the insertion. This is the mobile end of the muscle. So we have a stationary end, which is the origin, and the insertion, which is the mobile end. Now, you can have more than one of either. That's where, some of the muscles are named because they have more than one head. Like the biceps brachii. Biceps, 2 heads. So there you go. And we'll talk about that more when I go over some notable muscles that I like to point out for reasons, testable reasons, in the future. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, so coordinated muscle actions. Again, we have basically different muscles do different things. Oh, we all just don't go one way. We actually have ones that actually protect ourselves so we don't go over against. So we get the prime mover or agonist, which is basically what produces most of your force. So if like I'm picking up my cell phone, my prime mover is definitely the thing that's helping me pick up my cell phone. The synergist aids the prime mover, and this usually stabilizes the nearby joint so it's not going floppy all over the place, and modifies the direction. So if I want to move it up in an arc, to look at this and then put it down in an arc, this is where the synergist helps the prime mover so that way we can move and it steadies again for this nice smooth non-robot movement. I am not a robot, I am a human. Anyway, antagonists on the other hand oppose the prime mover. Why do we have muscles that go against the other muscles movement? So we don't get hurt. We don't want to have excessive movement and injury. So we do have antagonist muscles, so that way we don't overextend and hurt ourselves. It kind of protects that against that. Doesn't always go perfectly, but we do have things that so that way we don't hurt ourselves and rip our muscles out of our bones. And then the fixer. So this prevents the movement of a bone. And there are places where basically we do have places where the bones do not need to be moving, and we don't want them moving. And so we do have muscles that literally sit there and make sure they don't move. Just so if they didn't get the point the first time around. So there you go. So those are the coordinated muscle actions. The prime mover or the agonist, the synergist, the antagonist, and the fixator. So again, let's go over some major muscles that may or may not be on things. So anyway, pectoralis major, so basically, again, your pecs, which some guys can make their pecs do jiggly things, which always made me go, oh, that's so weird. Anyway, the deltoid, I love talking about the deltoid because he's named after its shape, the delts. So occasionally I'm pretty bad in the fact that, if you were to come in for a lab exam and you were like, I literally would just be like, what's this? And you'd be like, the delts, because I like saying the delts, and it's shaped like a triangle. Anyway, extensor digitorum extends the digits. The biceps brachii, right here, it's the muscle with two heads in the arm, so that way you get some movement and you don't break it. External oblique, located near the outsides with fibers running in a slantwise, the obliques right here, they're all slanty this way. My one fun thing is under the trapezius is the rhomboids, which are in a rhombus shape. So again, a lot of these you'll notice is kind of named for where they are and what they do, like the erector spinae. Guess what he does? He helps you keep your spine erect. Gee. Your quads, because they were probably in 4. The glutes, because the glutes, and then you get the abductors. All sorts of fun stuff. Now, do you have to memorize any of this? No. Will you have test questions on a couple of these? Probably the ones I said. Because, I like saying things. Now, facial muscles. You have a ton. I'm not going crazy with these. But again, you can kind of, some of these are named exactly for what they do. Like the masseter, it's for mastication, chewing. Again, nasalis is around your nose, so you can do this when you need to sneeze. The frontalis, so you can do this with your eyebrows. Yeah. Again, a lot of muscles around your eyeballs, so you can sit there and move your eyeballs around. So, just saying, am I going to go crazy with these? Not really. Again, muscles of the lower back. Unless you're going in a specialization, I really don't feel like I should beat you with this too much. But, Again, we've got the superficial and the deep. Superficial muscles are more towards the outside, the deeper on the inside. And these are the ones that seize up for me so badly. When I have stress, it sits in my neck, and then my neck seizes, and then I can't turn my head this way. And it's a matter of I really just need to get off my lazy bum and exercise more, especially my upper body, because that is the only thing that really fixes it, is me just exercising. And I feel better when I exercise, but, I have something lazy. So again, muscles that move the forearm. biceps brachii, he moves the forearm and supinates the hand. The brachialis flexes your forearm. Brachiocardioradialis basically flexes your forearm. So again, I'm not going to go crazy about this. I probably will have, questions about biceps brachii just simply because he has 2 heads. 2 heads are better than 1. Also, it keeps him attached. So anyway, parts I wish mine were more defined, but, again, laziness is my problem, not yours. And again, we do have muscles downstairs as well for the ladies and the guys, because we've got things like us ladies, we've got to get the babies out. Which you've ever done is oof. Anyway, so we have the muscles downstairs because we've got a lot of stuff doing stuff downstairs. Anyway, our leg muscles again. Notice again how the tendons are all wrapped around so nice and neatly. I think it's really cool. We'll talk about them. So again, here's your patella. It's held together and wrapped around. Everybody's all wrapped around. So that way your knees are not popping off unless you're doing something really wrong. Footsies. The Achilles tendon, which is interesting. Actually, there is I don't know if any of you are baseball fans. I'm a baseball fan. And there's a thing called the Tommy John surgery. And that's for pitchers that unfortunately have worn out several of the tendons in their elbow. And what we do is we actually take some of the tendons off of their legs and actually replace it with the tendons in the arm, so that way they can get that. And that's called the Tommy John surgery because Tommy John was one of the first baseball players to ever get that surgery done. And that's why they all call it that. So, yeah, we've actually come up with a lot of interesting things because of sports. And I believe some of you have said that you're going into sports medicine, which is actually really cool. So yeah, just remember, we can actually take tendons out of one part of our body and actually use it in other parts of our body because it grafts perfectly. Because again, if it's coming out of the same body, your body won't sit there and try to reject it. The immune system is like, yeah, this is good. So, because it's us. So which means your body will take it and heal better. So it's actually kind of an interesting thing that we've figured out over the well. All right, so let's talk about aging and muscles and old guys that still are muscle builders, which are interesting. Anyway, so myoglobin, ATP, and creatine phosphate decline starting in the 40s. Oh, oops. Anyway, connective tissue and adipose cells replace some of the muscle tissue, which is why it's hard to fight against if you're, trying to get back in shape, which is something I should say to myself. Self, you're 43. Do something. All right, moving on. By age 80, almost half of the muscle mass has atrophied, unless you're staying active. Like, for instance, my mother, she's really active, so that's pretty good. So anyway, muscle strength decreases and reflexes become slower. Exercise helps maintain muscle mass and function. So keep in mind, once again, every time we hit these age things, it's like exercise is good for you. And it's true. So, which reminds me, I should probably go take a walk this afternoon. Anyway, I believe that's it. That's it. All right. So, with that said, that's the end of chapter 9. I hope you enjoyed me splitting it into 3 parts so you weren't overwhelmed. If you have any questions, please tell me in the forums. And with that said, I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.